Kent McDonald, Army Special Operations Aviation Regiment. There he is. Hey, welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, for your service. Appreciate all that you did and everybody in our armed services. So, am I saying this right? You're a Master Sergeant and you were with the Army Special Operations Aviation Regiment, right?
Yeah, that's right, Ken. Yep.
Are you still in the Army?
I am, yeah. Just getting ready to retire, actually.
Okay, and where were you stationed for the most part?
For the most part, I was in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, but I've been in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, over in Korea, Georgia, and Oklahoma.
Okay. So if you have to be in the Army, then being someone who flies drones from the United States, that's kind of a sweet gig, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is a real.
And you're flying this thing. This is the MQ-1C Gray Eagle?
That's it, yeah. That's the Army's newest and greatest.
Wow. Okay, so whenever anybody thinks about an Army drone, they think the Predator. Was that the predecessor? Or
that's the Predator. There's a whole bunch of different variants of it that they used back in the day, early 2000s, that they went away with, but the MQ-1 Charlie is the newest one that they use.
Okay, and this is it in flight?
Yes, yep, that's the newest one that they made for the extended range. You see the wingtips facing up, and it's got a wider wingspan, so it stays up.
Give us the stats on this. It looks like it's got all kinds of cool stuff on it.
Well, I can't go too much in detail with the exact.
Oh, right, of course.
And everything like that, but it stays up for over 24 hours, depending on the payload. The wings are long enough where it's essentially a glider once it gets up in the air. And typically when it goes up, we're flying 18 to 20,000 feet is where we're flying at.
Okay.
Now, Master Sergeant, I've just been listening to some of the stats you've reeled off. By my count, you've broken at least 43 FAA rules. You're over 400 feet in the air. You've lost visual line of sight. You're flying over people.
Yeah, all that stuff.
I'll report you in the morning.
He doesn't just fly over people.
It's the rules have changed so much, even in the decade I've been doing it. I mean, from when we started, everyone was so scared of drones. I mean, really, quadcopters weren't really a thing. You could find them at Toys R Us for little things, but now it just got so big, and people understand that drones have so much technology in them. They're not dangerous. They're not gonna do things that causes damage to property or people or things like that. So now we're able to do a lot of that, flying over people or flying over populated areas and so on and so forth.
And I'm glad that you said that because, Predator drones, those killer drones, Army drones, are what people originally thought of back when the consumer drone market started taking off. So it already had that evil stigma, that you say drone. They're really quadcopters, but everybody calls them drones. But but I'm glad you said that. Now, do you have a regular consumer level drone that you fly?
I don't. I get enough of my fix at work every day. So
right.
When I come home, I tend to just take a break from the video screen because sometimes we stay in there for a long time flying them things. So when I come home, I think the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. Yes, Kelly?
How does the Army decide whether or not you become the man? Is this something you wanted to do? Did they say, we want you to do this? How does that all kind of come about?
Does video game experience come in handy?
Well, a lot of people make fun of that, but honestly, it does.
Wow.
When you're flying these drones, especially in combat, you have to have that ability to multitask and do so many different things, not just flying the thing or telling it where to go. You're managing battlefields. You're keeping track where people are. You're understanding what different tactics are. I mean, so it's everything you do in the video games. It's the same thing, but in real life.
How much lag is there with the satellite stuff? Like, is it immediate pretty much, or?
No, so it all depends. If I'm flying line of sight, which you do a lot, there's little to no lag at all. But if I'm flying SATCOM with satellite communications, depending on the satellite we're using, the footprint we're in, the distance between me and my aircraft, it could be anywhere from 2 seconds to 14 or 15 seconds.
So
Oh, wow.
you're flying these things line of sight too?
Yep. Most of the time it's line of sight.
What was it like the very first time you did that? I can't, because I mean, people don't realize how big they are. I just showed the video where the dude was standing next to them. They're big.
They're huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the wingspan on them, I think now it's 82 or somewhere near 80 feet wide. The fuselage is real skinny because the only thing that's in there is fuel, and the head where you see right there, that's where all the electronics are.
Right.
So there's really not a lot to it other than the fuel, the engine, and the electronics. That right there is the camera, which has come a long way since we first started. It used to be just the standard definition camera. Well, now it's high definition. So when I'm at the higher altitudes, I can see a lot more.
Right. Can I give you a gigantic set of these eyeballs and you slap them on one of those?
I wish I could, but unfortunately, I don't think I can get away.
Wouldn't
with
that be awesome? I mean, it looks it really looks like it needs a face on it, like eyes and like a big stupid grin or some flames.
And, but it's hard enough keeping them things clean and from all the hail damage and stuff like that. So I can't imagine anything would last very long in that fuselage.
How quiet are they? Or how quiet or how loud are they?
Depends. I mean, obviously, everything depending on what the acoustics around the area is. If there's mountain, it's going to echo off that, or if it's lower, you can hear it. But you can't hear it. I mean, it's loud on the ground, obviously, because it's a loud engine. But once you get up in the air, you ain't going to hear it.
And are you responsible for the equipment itself, or is that other people? Like you're the pilot, and then do you like a man pilot? Would you do a walk around before you take off?
We do everything. Yeah.
You do everything. Okay, I was wondering about that. So you know how to maintain them as well. You just don't come in and crack open an energy drink and.
Yeah, no. We have maintainers, so it's an actual job in the Army to maintain them. But we do all the walk-arounds. We load the missiles. We inspect the missiles. We inspect the cameras. Any sort of payload we have, we do all that.
Speaking of missiles, I got some footage here of Hellfire missiles being put on. And how big is a Hellfire missile?
They're pretty big. I mean, they're probably 5 foot long, weigh about 110, 115 pounds.
And how much does one of them puppies cost?
It depends. I mean, so mind you, some of the rotary wings have been shooting those for a long time. So if I get an older version of that, it could be 20 or 30,000. But the newer ones are probably upwards towards $105,000, $110,000 per round.
Per shot.
Per shot.
So in 3, 2, and wait for it. 100 grand.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what kind of what kind of training do you get? Because this is all kind of very impersonal warfare. Do you guys get PTSD? Do you worry about not to get too personal, but do generally the pilots of remote vehicles like this, do they get any kind of trauma happening, worrying about what they're doing? When you're firing in anger at targets and things.
Well, that's also something that the military is very new with. So being a drone pilot, well, we don't call them drones, so we call them UAS. So unmanned aerial systems is what we call them. When you're a UAS pilot, the Army didn't know how to treat us. So we didn't have crew rest. We didn't have any sort of idea what the impacts were on us. So my unit actually did a study of what our cognitive ability is after flying for 12 to 14 hours. And we would do this for 90 days. We take a test before, we take a test after, and see what my ability to retain, ability to do math, just basic things, goes up and down after that. And as far as the PTSD thing you're talking about, I mean, it's a lot for some of these, especially younger guys that come in. They don't understand some of the things they're going to be seeing, they're going to be doing. So it's generally up to the older guys to kind of coach them through it and kind of just make sure they're making good decisions, making sure they're paying attention, making sure they're understanding that it's not just them taking, doing that sort of thing. It's what they're instructed to do. Yeah.
So it's not like it's not really up to you guys really it's some other higher ups saying, okay, we got the target, and then right. So you're not just looking for people or targets.
Yeah. So, and that's where like to clear it for a lot of people. They think these drone pilots are up there just shooting people. Oh,
right.
No, there's
Right.
lawyers, there's very high-ranking people that are saying, okay, good to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't want to get too personal with that, but I mean, obviously there's a lot of socio-political stuff and classified things, but
Sure.
I do have some video of one of the ground stations, and maybe you can kind of take us through here. This is kind of what you're working in, right? One of these things.
Yep. We're looking at the Air Force, but it's very similar.
Okay.
And, they have a little bit bigger of stations because they have a pilot, a co-pilot, and then they have a guy in the back that does all of the communications and a lot of other things, which I'm not too sure on. But there's 3 or 4 of them that sit in there. For us, it's just 2.
Okay, but you have several. It's not just you and a screen. This is kind of what it looks like.
Yep, that's it. And that's one of the older systems you see right there. But yeah, you have the joystick sitting right there, which is an older system too, which we can go into that later. But the older ones had cockpits like that where you had stick and rudder. You have your full communications windows. You have your battlefield windows. You have your flight systems windows. Then you can see that she has the front HUD up, or you can see the front of the aircraft as well for taxiing and takeoff.
Okay. And so, I mean, it's just like flying in a manned plane, pretty much. You've got all the same systems, and you've got autopilot and all that.
Yep.
So and generally, how far do you fly from your area of interest? Like, is it? Do you take off from aircraft carrier? Is there a base nearby, or is it both? Or
no, it's always going to be an airfield of some sort. And this is just this kind of. The Army has quite a few different drones that they fly, but this one, yeah, it's going to be an airfield somewhere.
Okay, so but you can't do physical walk around if you're taking off from across the world, right? Yeah, it's somebody else.
Somebody's doing it, whether it's me or whoever's taking control of that aircraft will do a walk around.
Okay.
Make sure it's okay.
If there's anybody in the chat that has a question, Kelly, please let me know about it, because this is just fascinating to me. When did the UAS, the Army Air Force UAS program, really come into its own? Because it's pretty. I mean, we're all used to it now, but there was it the Iraq War when it first started being used in earnest?
Yeah. So the original Predators came with the MQ-1 Bravo is what it was called. It came out in the early 2000s in Iraq, and it was very, very new, very limited. They didn't really trust it. There's a lot of glitches with it, and it had very limited, I don't want to say potential, but it's very limited to what it does now because it was still so new, and they already had no clue what to do with the thing.
Right.
And as time has gone on since then, the Air Force has 3 or 4 different large UAVs they fly. The Army has just the same. Well, they have 2 now, but it's gone just from leaps and bounds where we started having a capability that was only able to stay up for 8 or 9 hours at a time to now it can stay up for 20-something hours at a time, having 8 Hellfire missiles instead of 4, just constantly improving over time.
How often does something like this get shot down or go wrong, crash or something like that? I mean, not a lot, probably.
No, not very often at all, because the companies that make these are just do a phenomenal job as far as setting up. If I lose link with it, what it's going to do. Me as the pilot, I know exactly what my aircraft is going to do before I even set it up. For pre-flight, I put in my lost link controls, and I know exactly what it's going to do if I lose link with it.
Okay. And somebody asked if you have return to home on it. Like,
almost.
If you you lose the link, it'll at least circle around like a jet ski, right?
yeah. It's gonna do. You can tell it to do whatever you want, so it's gonna store what you tell it to do. So if I want it to sit there and wait until I regain link for 2 hours, it'll do it. If I want it to come home right away, it'll come home.
Wow.
Just whatever I do.
Kelly, did you have a question?
Yeah, Pickle Droner in the chat. How do they handle airspace? Do you call into towers, or does military kind of supersede everything?
Well, so we use the same exact communication that man pilots do. So everything from ground to tower to approach, departure, you name it. We do it.
What is some sort of misunderstanding that you would like the general public to know? What is one of the things that just gets in your craw about these things that people either assume or misunderstand about that you would like to clear up?
And I've been multiple places in the world where people just think that these drones are doing everything themselves. They're killing babies and doing all this stuff. And I want to overemphasize how much human interaction is involved in everything, whether it's surveillance, whether it's reconnaissance, whether it's even engaging. I mean, there's so many people that are involved, and it's never infringing on anyone that doesn't need to be infringed on. And never in the United States, but everywhere overseas. We don't just sit there and stare at people because we want to. It's because there's a reason for it.
Right. How much autonomy will there be in the future? What do you see in 10, 20 years as far as AI technology being incorporated into this thing and maybe even partially taking pilots out of the equation? Do you see that happening?
I don't see that happening. I can't see, as long as there are aircraft with manned pilots in the skies, there will not be anything that is flying with no human interaction at all. There's too much at risk. There's too many lives in the manned aircraft that if let's say one of the unmanned aircraft goes rogue or doesn't do what it's supposed to be doing, and then I have no control of it at all, whose fault is that? Not those innocent people.
So the cameras on there are just incredible. I mean, it's everything infrared stuff that we can't even, stuff that we don't even, as a general public, don't know. Like X-ray, whatever. The old clothes remover lens, that kind of stuff. Top secret. But so you're getting you're flying what 20,000 feet maybe over a hostile area or whatever, and you're getting down. You can see can you read maybe don't tell me that, but what are some of the weirdest things that you've seen? Just people doing, just the citizens, what kind of wacky thing? Because I know you've seen naked people sunbathing on roofs and people picking their nose or doing weird stuff to farm animals. I know you've seen it.
What?
Come on, man.
How's this interview going?
I gotta know, man. What kind of weird stuff have you seen, Kent? Come on.
I don't want to be offensive to anyone or say something that's inappropriate.
Right.
But
yeah.
When I'm watching certain things, never stateside. This is overseas, never stateside.
Right.
There are certain individuals that will sneak off at nighttime if we're watching them to meet with somebody and try and hide and do things like that, or certain animals of some sort that they enjoy with. And things
really?
Like that.
So somewhere in the Army archives, this video of
yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you for being honest about that.
I wish I could keep some of those videos, because you would not believe some of the stuff I see. I mean, it is just insane, the amount of things that no one could imagine ever being like, I've seen this happen before,
And you talk to your co-pilot, hey, look at you seeing this?
Yeah, look at that guy.
Hey, have you ever seen any, what do you call it? Not UFOs. What are they calling them now? Not UFOs, unidentified flying. Have you seen anything no, you've never, because I mean mostly the cameras are pointed down, you're not looking at space, but
I'm not looking up.
Right. Okay, so you've never seen anything,
but I'm sure he's heard something. Yes or no, yeah. Master Sergeant, do UFOs exist?
Ooh,
if I had to guess, yes, but have I seen any? No.
Wow.
Okay, all right.
I'd say if I had to guess, yes,
Kelly.
So you're about to retire. What's next for you? Will it include something in the drone field?
And I was just talking to Ken about that. I haven't really had to venture through my next steps yet, and I'm really wanting to stay in the UAS community because it's what I've done for so long. I'm good at it, and I'm good at managing people and programs, and just about anything with drones I've done, whether it's small handheld stuff in the Army to the biggest stuff we got. So I would like to definitely do something. I was talking to Ken about the agricultural ones and living out there. So that might be my next step, but I'm definitely putting my name out there, trying to see what I can do for the community, really, because I would love to see it grow as not only in the government side, but in the civilian sector, being able to stand up programs that are self-sufficient, where you know how to maintain them yourself, if you have pilots below you, how to make sure they're maintaining proficiency, and everything.
Yeah, well, you have a great community here that's willing to help you, and we've got thousands, hundreds of resources, people that can advise you. And is there any way, like if somebody has something to offer you about the agriculture, that you can just contact me here and I can get a hold of Kent for you? Ken Heron Upload at gmail.com. So are you do you have your 14 CFR Part 107?
I do. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And you are a manned pilot, obviously.
Yep.
Right. Do you have any interest in FPV at all? That drone,
what?
FPV, first person view. That's that drone that I was flying for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was doing the acrobatics.
You know, and a lot of the guys I used to work with got into the drone racing program just because they understand the movement so well. And that was something I thought about, but moving that fast gets me kind of sick, believe it or not. Maybe that's something I get used to.
How fast does the MQ-1C Gray Eagle go?
I mean, I think the average ground speed's probably 110, probably somewhere around there.
Okay.
But that brings up a good question. How maneuverable is that drone?
Well, it's a glider. So, I mean,
Oh.
I say glider because it's slow, but
Gotcha.
I mean, it can do pretty decent maneuvers. I mean, it's not doing any fighter jet stuff, but
Gotcha.
it's able to do what it needs to do for or what they're designed for.
So there won't be any drone dogfights like with other countries' drones.
I would want to be part of it, to be honest.
No.
It'd be so slow and just so boring.
Yeah.
Like, left-hand turn.
Yeah, right. Do you think the Gray Eagle could do a flip if you had to, like a loop?
Yeah. If I had full control, no overrides, probably. But
Barrel roll?
I mean, yeah, if they go fast enough, and if I got some wind pushing me, I could probably do it.
Okay. Has anybody ever like straddled one of those things and taken a ride? I can see,
What?
I mean, I'm just thinking. I mean, they're huge, these things. Let me play this video again. You can see like how big it is compared to that dude. You can just hop on. You can put a saddle on it. Go for a ride. I've seen Stuntman somewhere is thinking about it.
Well, I can't confirm or deny that I've given someone an atomic wedgie on the missile structure for their birthday.
Okay. Cool, man. Oh, man. That's so awesome. Well, Master Sergeant Ken McDonald, thank you so very much for your time and your service. Mm-hmm. One of the coolest jobs ever. We appreciate you doing what you do for us and the rest of the world.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And you can come over and we'll fly FPV anytime you want.
I'd love that. I'll bring Grant over too.
Okay, I'll put little miniature fake Hellfire missiles on it there just to make you feel more comfortable. Awesome. Thank you, sir. We'll see you later.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, bye-bye. How about that dude, huh?
Quite possibly one of the best guests you've ever had on the show.
I think so. So interesting.
Terrific. I could have talked to him for another hour.
Yeah. I'm sorry if we missed any questions in the chit-chat, but yeah, maybe we'll have him on again one day once he figures out what he's wanting to do. I mean, that's great resume padding right there.
I'd say that's right.
Yeah.
DJI should hire him tomorrow.
Yeah, or the FAA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.